Testing, testing, testing. Hello? Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming today. Appreciate you guys all for coming. We're going to get started. I think YJ is going to... actor, did stunts on Everything Ever All at Once, Bullet Train, and working on, in the industry. But today I have the pleasure to introduce Nik Shaw, who is the creator of the RE channel, and also he is a director, producer, and he just directed his first feature film. So we're gonna give him a little preview of his work before we invite him onto the stage today.
You trapped yourself in here with me. Have you learned nothing?
If all these shogi pieces represent at least shinobi, do you know who the king would be?
We're going on a mission, Sensei. The first one without you leading us. We're prepared, and we won't hesitate.
At least your sensei looked me in the eyes during battle, and then he died a puny death!
Shikamaru's plan. I don't know if it's going to work.
We may have killed Asuma, but his will of fire lives on.
Let's welcome Nik onto the stage. Sit on that side.
Okay, is this your good time?
I don't know, just felt like this is the...
Alright. Hello.
Oh, you gotta hit that mute button.
Hello. There we go.
There, you gotta hold the mute button.
Hello.
Alright.
Hold it.
Yeah, is it on? Is it on?
Hello.
No, you hold it to turn it on, and then it was on.
Okay. Yes, it is on.
All right. What's up, Nik? How's everything going?
It's good, man. How you doing?
Good.
I've worked with Alfred on quite a few projects, and it's fun being here with you.
Yes. You might recognize me without hair.
Yeah.
I was One Punch Man. Well, yeah. Welcome. Thanks for being here today. And I guess let's just jump into that. How did the RE channel even come about?
So I was working in the industry as a cinematographer, and I watched the Netflix live action of Death Note, and I was very upset. I don't know if you guys have seen the live action Death Note, but I was not happy. And I was just ranting to my friend about how I could do it better with no money, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $4,000, go do it." And I was like, I'm not even joking. He just great friend, just give me $4,000. I was like, all right, I'll go do it. And I got all my friends to, come out for free just to make it happen. And I think 2 weeks after I was ranting to my friend, we were filming Death Note. And then that's what, the first video on our channel. And that did very well, and people really liked it. And I realized it just clicked for me. I was like, wait, I love anime, I love movies, I love filmmaking. Why am I not doing both? So then I just started, stopped working in the industry as a cinematographer, and I was like, I'm only going to do live action anime. So that's how it all started.
Wait, so what year was this when you did your first video on the channel?
2017. Yeah.
Okay. So you started in 2017, and then right now your channel has what, a million?
Yeah, 1.2.
1.2, right? So
yeah.
What did it take from your first video to really kind of ramp up to, really amassing a decent sized following, and before you felt like this channel is really kind of taking off and you started to create more and more videos?
It's a big question. It took a lot of, well, all my savings, but a lot of people that just believed in me, and a lot of really great friends, like the guy who just gave me $4,000, or a lot of great crew members that came out for free. But really, I just, I picked the films that, or the animes that inspired me the most, and I was able to make those into films because of those friends and crew members and people that came out and donated their time. And because of that, our first like Naruto film that we did got like 20 million views, and that really launched the channel into having like, I think right off the bat in a month we had like 200,000 subscribers. And then after that it was just like, okay, I'm hungry, I want more, I want to keep doing more, and like how do I keep doing more, and just figuring out how like the YouTube business works and how to get like sponsorship, brand deals, and making AdSense money, and like just to like put it back into the next film. So it was always reinvesting into the next film and putting out as much content as I can.
Yeah, I actually remember during that era, or that era when you were doing all of this anime content, you were pretty driven. Like you were doing one project after another, and not only that, but like you already had like the next one like in the works while you're already in post on the other one. Like, I mean, describe that mentality, because like you were really driven. Like you were just going after it, like finding funding, shooting one after. Like, what was your kind of like going on in your mind at that time?
I think at the time I just felt like I found my calling and exactly what I was put on this planet to do, and so nothing was going to stop me. So I just was like going at it with that mentality. I was like, okay, I'm filming this one now, like, okay, what's the next one? And just like constantly, I really at that time like believed in manifesting, and it sounds so stupid, but like would tell people that I already have the project in production or like in pre-production, even though I didn't. I would like have just the script, and I'd be like, yeah, we're gonna shoot this in like a month. Wow. And then the investor would be like, oh cool, I'll throw in money. And I'm like, great, like we're already doing it. And I would just speak it into existence that way, and like would already like have casted people, but I haven't talked to them yet, but be like, oh, we have this actor and this actor, and I knew I could get them, but like I don't know, it was just like, it was just moving, and I just felt like I found what I was meant to do, and nothing was going to stop me. So I just, yeah.
I think this is like, again, I don't know what everyone else is like. We're all in different aspects of entertainment. Some of us are actors. Maybe some of us want to produce our own films. But I think this is like a really strong learning moment, because what I do know about Nik is that he's very, very strong at like manifesting and getting projects off the ground. It doesn't matter if it's a, $500 YouTube video or a $40,000, short film, or a, theatrical release feature film. But there's something about you that you do that there is that you get people going, as in like, oh, this project is already, underway. We have the actors, like you get people feeling like, okay, this thing is moving forward, and I just need to jump on it, or this train is going to take off without me. That's kind of the feeling.
Exactly. I'm like, the train's moving, hop on now, or, you're going to be too late.
Take it or leave it. It doesn't feel like, oh, like without your money, this project like couldn't happen. It's more like, I'm doing some cool stuff. If you want to come, like jump on. If not, like, hey, that's all good.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I think that's the biggest difference when people ask me, how do you raise money? Like, I'm very good at raising money. And that's like the biggest shift is like, instead of being like, oh, hey, like I need your money, please, like invest in my project. It's just like, hey, the project's happening, and like you can invest and like make money or not. And it's just that like that, I don't know, that confidence or manifesting that I think is a big shift.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what it is, but just, I mean, you grew up in LA, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think, growing up in LA, in the heart of all this, like somehow like you've captured that kind of that flow and that vibe, But I will ask, like, just personally, like, what's your take on, I think there is a finesse to producing and getting funding, for your project, or getting people to support your project. But like, how much can you push? Like, oh yeah, we have all these people cast. Like, this film is already like almost done. We just need a few more bucks. Versus like, you know what I mean? What's the line like?
Yeah, I mean, don't like straight up lie. That's not what I'm saying to do. But I just know like I would loosely talk to like Yoshi, or I'd talk to Ozric Chow, and like, I'd loosely, hey, would you be interested in doing this film? And they'd be like, yeah. And then I'd go tell people like, hey, I got Ozric, and but like I wouldn't have locked him in yet, but I know he's interested in doing it. So don't straight up lie to people, but just the project's moving. It's gonna happen, and like speak it into existence, and then that person, investor, whoever it is, will hopefully believe in your vision and be like, I need to go because the train's moving. So.
Okay, cool. I think we're gonna come back to more of this kind of like financing, getting stuff off the ground. But let's dial it back real quick and get back to, you know, just this calling that you had. Like, why did you feel you gravitated towards anime so much, or why did you fall in love with anime so much?
Oh man, I don't know. It came out the womb, and I just loved it. But I grew up around anime. I always there was a cartoon on the TV or anime, it was always anime. And I didn't even know it was anime at the time. It was just like the aesthetic, the storytelling. I felt like I was getting certain depth from these characters that I wasn't getting in normal cartoons. It was adult animation, and I was an 8-year-old kid or 7-year-old kid that just loved that. And I would bring Inuyasha into school when Movie Friday was happening, and everyone voted for me every week to bring in a movie because I'd bring in Inuyasha, and which is like a very dark anime with blood and like nudity, and we're all 8 years old, and our teacher was okay with it, so people loved me bringing Inuyasha in. So, but yeah, I just think I gravitated towards like, I think Naruto for me was like the biggest shift in like where I was like, oh, anime is like my life. And I mean, I love Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha, Full Metal Alchemist, like all those shows before Naruto, but I really connected with him in his story, and I felt like, yeah, I learned a lot of like morals, like a lot of today. There's like certain things I do that I'm like, oh, that's so Naruto. Like I learned that from Naruto totally. So I just really connected with like the characters and the storytelling, and yeah, I just love anime more than anything.
No, I hear you on that Naruto thing, because that was like one of the anime that I kind of watched episode by episode, like as it progressed, you know. So, and I was loyal to that one anime during that time, you know. So definitely grew with it. All right, one more question, kind of on anime, and we'll kind of move past that. But what are your maybe like top 3 anime that either like OG that just like really inspired you, or kind of some more current stuff that you like, and you know, just three favorite anime that you like or that inspire you?
Oh man, I would say Death Note, Attack on Titan, and Naruto would be my like top 3.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, let's jump back real quick to the, you know, YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. All right, now that you hit, you know, you broke over 1 million, I'd say like that's a pretty good goal, you know, for people out there to reach 1 million. That's a pretty strong, you know, like channel right there. How important do you think social media is or was in helping you develop further your film career, and especially like in 2024, you know?
Yeah, I think it was actually a huge deal. I just shot a movie in Tokyo a year ago, and we're wrapping up post-production on that now. But I don't think that movie actually would not have happened if I didn't have 1 million subscribers. Like I was able to say that in every investor meeting, like going into shooting in Japan, like they would be like, oh, this guy has 1 million subscribers, you know, like it was almost like a badge that was just always on me. Like, oh,
you brought your plaque with you. You brought your
walking around with the YouTube plaque. Yeah, I met my producing partner who's Japanese. I met him because he saw my videos. So for me, it was like, I think that creating content and putting it out there, especially in this day and age, like you need to do it. All right, like just get your vision out there as soon as possible. Yeah, because I would have never had the movie funded if I didn't have the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think that's one of those like build it and they will come kind of scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Because he was building something that he was passionate about, and then someone who was interested in that, like the eyeballs were there, and someone who gravitated, like you weren't out there pleading to find an investor or a producing partner or whatever. It was, they saw what you were doing, they were attracted to it, you guys gravitated, and then ultimately led you kind of to your next step, which was creating a feature film, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, okay, I do want to talk more about the feature film for sure, but just for people that are doing social media, you know, like YouTube or whatnot, how viable is that just in terms of like with 1 million, you know, subscribers or and like all the views on your videos, is that able to produce, like help you, provide for yourself, or like, support yourself basically. Or let's say actors are out there, they want to work on some bigger, studio projects, whether they're directing or acting. But meanwhile, maybe they've got a good social media following. Like, what would you say, just basically like general, you can say whatever you want on it, but in terms of how it could or could not support you in terms of, a living?
Well, for actors and for filmmakers, it's very different. I'll say for filmmakers, if you guys want to make high quality productions and put it on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok to generate revenue, and you want high quality and you're spending a good amount of money on each video, I would say at best you'll break even, and that's what I did. And I didn't care to make money on it. I just wanted to reinvest. So like if I got like a $80,000 budget from a brand, I would literally spend $80,000 on the video and just make it as good as it could be, because I wanted Hollywood to see this video and be like, oh, let's hire this guy. Like, why are we not calling this guy? And well, I can actually talk more about that if we want to. Perfect segue.
Yeah.
I had meetings at Lionsgate, Netflix, Legendary, all around town, Paramount, and no one cared, to be honest. No one cared that I had 1 million subscribers. No one cared I had these 20 million views on this video. Or, I mean, it got me the meeting, but when I was in there, they were like, have you made a movie? Or have you done something? And I was like, this weird catch-22. That is like, I can't get into the club unless you've been in the club kind of thing, which is like what really woke me up. I was like, wow, I just put in 5 years of my life, all my money, a lot of hard times struggling to get to this point, and then it's still not enough, which was like a big shock to me. And then I was like, flipped everything, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to make a movie. And luckily that producing partner reached out to me like a few weeks after I had that like big switch in my life. And then I was like, okay, I need to make a movie. And that's where the movie came in.
All right. So, share with us, like, what was the jump from making like pretty cool, high quality YouTube shorts, anime projects that might have been 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, with small crew or familiar friends, to now shooting a feature length film in Japan?
What was the jump?
What are some like the differences, or just like scaling, or what were some things you noticed that were like either significantly different or still applicable from the experience of like a smaller team or crew? Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. I felt like I was just doing my YouTube videos like every day, but it was just a longer version of what I was already doing. I felt like the biggest difference was we needed to plan way more. So there was like a month of pre-production, and that was like unusual to me. Like my YouTube videos, we might have a day of pre-production or 2 days. Maybe we do previs for a fight scene, and then like we all talk about the day on like a Zoom call. But like I had like 30 crew members for a month, like in meetings after meetings after meetings about like every detail of the movie. So that was like the biggest difference, I feel like, was the prep. But once we were actually shooting, besides having a bigger crew and like, working with Japanese crew is very different actually than like a normal Hollywood crew. A lot of differences there. But while we were actually shooting, I was just like, oh, I did all the reps on YouTube. Like I came prepared. Like this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years, and I'm just able to do more of it at a higher level. It was great. I loved shooting in Japan.
Yeah, so doing like all those reps and all those, you have, how many films do you have on the channel? Like,
I think films, we have about 22 shorts.
So that's basically, that's 100% doing the reps, and did you feel that when you're doing all those shorts, it helped you in like the decision-making process? As a director, you're always constantly making decisions. So do you feel like that actually helped, as you did more, your decision-making ability got better?
Yeah, I think I realized like what really mattered, especially in post-production, when you were like, oh, we spent like 3 hours on this one shot, and then I didn't really need it at all, and like doing that over and over and over, and realizing like, oh, we don't need that, or what can we cheat to make this work? And like those, like when the sun's setting and you're like, okay, I actually don't need that, I can get that later, and we can, like, all those minor decisions. I feel like the shorts really help me like understand what should be cut, what's needed, especially in fight scenes. We were just talking about this out there. not leaving enough time for fights, or like, knowing how long, like, oh, we have 3 shots, but it's like, I'm throwing you through a glass wall or whatever, that's going to take hours, versus like if I didn't have that experience, I'd be like, oh yeah, we have 3 shots for that fight scene. It's not a big deal. So I think just the experience and knowing what you need, what you don't need, how much time things take, and how to communicate to every department. It was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like that time management, and also it's not even just the time, but what are the priorities? I think once you become an experienced director, or that you've shot a lot of stuff, you realize like if I spend 2 hours just getting one beautiful side profile versus, getting this huge money shot of someone going through a glass door or something, that the trade-offs are going to be different and the effect to the audience is going to be different. Speaking about communication with like your crew and your just the whole team, let's get into it with, we probably have a lot of actors and people that are also watching. So what did you learn in terms of interacting and getting the best performance out of your actors?
I think for me, when I'm working with actors, like, I think Woody Allen said it the best, like, casting's 90% of the process. So once I've casted them, I don't really give them much direction. I'm like, I casted you because you're good at your...
Tell people how you casted me for One Punch Man. That's the funniest story. Go ahead. I want to hear this.
This is not how I normally cast, I promise. We were scrolling through photos of my old managers. He had a whole list of actors. We were scrolling through and covering everyone's hair so we can imagine them bald. And I was like, oh, wow, he looks great bald. Yeah, let's go with this guy. And he looks great as One Punch Man. I don't know if we could pull up a photo of Alfred as One Punch, but
oh my gosh.
Hey, it worked out. We got 22 million views now. 24.
24, baby.
Yeah. So look, maybe just cast based on looks.
Okay, well, I gotta tell an anecdote. So I go into this meeting with him and the director of One Punch Man. It was Elliot, and I assumed that they looked at my body of work, my acting experience, like my stunt work, because like it's a little physical. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm talking to these guys. I find out both of them are like, oh yeah, we never saw any of your stuff. We just literally like covered all these foreheads, and you had the best forehead that would look bald. So I was like, all right, well, thanks. I guess thanks, Mom, that I got cast as One Punch Man because of that. But it did work out, and it was a super fun project. But yeah, in terms of working with actors in Japan, like, did you realize anything? I don't know. Is there any differences out there? And again, feature film versus the shorts.
Working specifically with actors in Japan, they're used to the way they shoot in Japan is very different. Like, they are very much block shooting. Like, they're like, okay, I only need this shot for 2 lines, and then there he is. There's Alfred. Look at he looks great bald.
No, those
you should shave your head again.
the worst. I've shaved my head like 5 times for various projects. So I like to keep my hair if possible.
But yeah, working with actors there, they're used to like, okay, you're going to say these 2 lines, we cut, now we're going to shoot it from this side and get the last 2 lines. Like, they don't like, which is crazy to me, they don't do any lead in, they don't let the actors like flow, they just are very much like, hey, this shot is 2 lines. Oh, wow. And then we're moving on. And so when I was like, hey, we're going to shoot the whole scene, like, here's your close-up, just go, they loved it. They're like, wow, I'm like way more into the scene, I'm like crying, I didn't think I was going to cry here, and it's like, yeah, I feel like acting to me is like, you being in the moment, and that's what I like Meisner the most. But it's really just being in the moment, and I feel like when you're shooting, like, hey, we're getting 2 lines cut, it's like it's hard for people to get into it. Yeah. So I think working with them, they like really appreciated just being able to like do the whole scene and not cut all the time. Now my hard drives don't like me because I have like 2 20-terabyte hard drives of footage, but that's just how I like to shoot. Yeah.
All right, so we've talked a bit about this feature film. We kind of jumped into actually, but can you share a little bit of what it's about and how you came into like this, how this script or whatever this project came into your possession?
Yeah. So it's about a Japanese ex-martial artist's mother who finds out she has two brain tumors, and at the same time her daughter's pregnant, and so she turns to underground cage fighting to leave money behind for her daughter before she dies. And to go back to, you know, how this project came about and like how the script came about, that producing partner I met, his name's Komori. He actually distributes a lot of anime to America, and we were talking about doing a live action anime. And in that process of trying to raise money to buy the rights to this anime, it was expensive, and you know, I'm a first-time director. No one was going to trust me with that kind of money. He was like, "Hey, let's just do an original film. Let's go shoot it in Tokyo, and then we can meet with all the anime companies while we're shooting this movie, and they can come to set, see how you work, and then they'll like lower the price on the IP." But so it was kind of like half a business decision, half I've always wanted to go to Tokyo and shoot a movie. So, but for my first movie to be in a language I did not know, in a country I've never been to, with a crew I've never worked with, was a wild experience for me. So I don't know many directors that their first movie is like this. I've tried to find directors that have done that, but it was definitely stressful at times, but it was very rewarding. And yeah, so you know, I wrote the script with my writing partner Ryan Nichols. Ryan's an amazing writer, and he, you know, we were bouncing back and forth so many different ideas, and I just felt like I wanted my first film to be a love letter to my parents, and how I feel like I'm so lucky to have them in my life, and how I was such a little shit when I was a teenager, and I took them for granted a lot. And so you know, the film's, it sounds like a martial arts, like heavy action movie. It's really a drama. It's more like $1 Million Baby, you know, with some action. And I was like, hey, I want to do something about like a mother and a daughter. And yeah, I also felt like that was, when we were looking into like Japanese cinema and movies, like I felt like that was like, that relationship was lacking, being shown in cinema there. So I was like, hey, let's go make that movie. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think like I also really want to emphasize, you know, who would have thought, right? Like, you grew up here in LA, you started to make just some anime stuff that you liked, and then boom, you're literally in the heart of Japan. You're in Tokyo making a feature film as your first film, you know? And I think that's just another example of when you just take that first step, like, because all the crazy stuff that you went through when you're building the channel, like, again, you probably at that time never would have imagined like where it would have led to, you know? And like, maybe in hindsight, you could see like, oh, you know what, it does make sense that I ended up in Japan, you know, but you never would have known that had you not just gone for it, you know? So I think whatever it is that we're going for is acting, producing, directing, you know, just taking that first step, like coming out here, meeting people, starting to shoot stuff, just shooting your own stuff, you know, with your phone, with your camera, whatever. Like, that's gonna, just one thing is, I mean, I have so many stories as well that just from one random thing, it led to something totally crazy, but also life-changing, you know? All right, so it would definitely be, I definitely have to touch on, you know, the action and the stunts. You know, you just shot a martial arts, would you say it's like a thriller or drama or?
Like martial arts drama.
Martial arts, like drama, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, first of all, how was it working with the action or the stunt team out in Japan?
Oh, they were phenomenal. We had like the best stunt team, like one of the top stunt teams in Japan on the movie. So I was super lucky to have him. His name was Tomita-san, and he was phenomenal. We did a lot of the previs and the choreography here, and then we brought it over to them and to like finish the choreography and work with the actors. But yeah, the team there is, I mean, the things they were okay doing, like stunt-wise, like they like scorpioned on like cement with no pads, and like the guy's like bleeding from his eye, and he's like, "Let's go again." And I was like, "Oh no, we're done. Cut. We got it." He's like, "No, I can go again." I was like, "No, go to the hospital, please." But yeah, so I think they were phenomenal. It was great working with them, and Tomita and I have very similar eyes in terms of how we like to film action, and so there was like there's a few fight scenes we had to film within like 3 hours, 4 hours. We had like no time, and we had 2 cameras, and him and I just like telepathically just spoke, and we did this dance and got this whole fight scene like almost perfectly. It was a great experience working with them. Yeah.
So your lead or some of the main people that were performing the action, can you talk through like, I don't know, just like an actor, you know, like versus someone, you know, someone with great acting ability, but someone versus someone who has maybe like also action and acting ability. Like how much does that help you or benefit you if the lead actor or whoever is doing a lot of the fighting has action experience? And just kind of jump into that a little bit more. And there's different degrees too of someone with a little bit of film combat training versus someone who's prolifically doing a lot of, you know, action and acting. So maybe you could talk about that and how it benefited or was you know, difficult or beneficial for your film.
Yeah, we casted someone that we knew could do martial arts and do stunts because we knew our budget wasn't going to be huge. We couldn't have like a stunt actress there all the time. Also, when you're filming, I don't want to shoot around my actress. You know, I want her to be able to do her own stunts if possible, right? Depending on the movie. But this movie's an action martial arts drama, and if I had to shoot around her, you know, if she could just barely throw a punch and then I had to cut to different angles, I mean, it changes the entire movie if your lead can't do action and it's an action film, right? So I think it's so important to cast someone that can act but also has the martial arts ability. And I think you got to kind of weigh the pros and cons. Like there might be a better actress, but she has no fighting experience, and then, you know, maybe she's a dancer and then her kicks don't look great, or, you know, whatever it is. I think there's a fine line that we have to walk when casting someone. Yeah, I would choose someone who's like a good enough actress with like really good martial arts experience over like an amazing actress with none for an action film.
Right. And since you've shot so many action projects, you know, with your channel and now this film, do you feel like you could see the difference between, you know, like so many people claim that they can do martial arts or whatnot, but there's even like still a difference between just having some martial arts experience and film specific experience. Like, do you feel like now you have that eye to see the difference between like someone who can really fight on screen versus just kind of saying that they've trained, you know, for like a couple days or a couple seminars?
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, they know, like if I say, hey, the camera's here, they know, okay, I need to kick higher in this. You know, if the camera's up here or whatever, I need to adjust, you know, to the camera. I think that's the biggest difference is like, you don't need to, like if I'm working with you or Yoshi and I'm like, hey, camera's down here, I don't need to say anything else. They know like, okay, the kick needs to be higher now or lower or whatever it is. And that just makes everything go like way faster. Like on set, like time is money, and just being able to be like, hey, camera's going here now, and like do the same thing, and you guys can adjust without me saying anything is like just speeds up the whole process. Also, someone who's like just a martial artist and not a on camera like stunt actor, it's very different, right? Fighting on camera is more like blocky. It's more like hit that moment and like not flow through your action like you would in normal martial arts. So I feel like that's the biggest difference as well. But I mean, you're definitely way more qualified to talk about this than I am.
Hey, we're interviewing you. You know, I just want to get your.
In terms of the camera, like me, like over the years filming the short films, I learned how there's a dance between the camera and the stunt actors and the fighters. And before I would walk in and be like, oh, I know how to shoot a fight scene, and then as like I started letting my action designers hold the camera, I was like, oh wait, I don't know how to shoot a fight scene. And so it took me like years to really like understand like, oh, when they're like doing this move, there's like a little
Yeah.
you know, like there's a little dance that you have to do to like actually really film the fight correctly and get that feeling in there. Like John Wick does that really well. I feel like they just let their action team run the camera, and that's why it looks so good. So I really took the time to like work with those people and like show up to the previous days and be like, okay, watching them, how are they filming this? And like, oh, just doing that little movement here or that, or like a tilt up or whatever it is, like, you know, adds to the energy of this fight without it being like Jason Bourne kind of like that. But yeah, so that took me like over the course of 5 years doing these shorts. That's you know, by the end of my 5th year, I was like, okay, I'm ready to shoot an action movie now.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because I really think like your hands-on in the field, just you can never replace that, even as much with, you know, as you go to classes, you know, if you go into film school, or it just never beats like hands-on experience, you know. And I can attest to actually seeing Nick really grow, because you had a like cinematography or like a DP, you know, you were shooting stuff already, so you had a great eye for visuals, coloring, and like just cinematography in general. But action is its own thing. Like you're basically, as you said, doing a dance with the actors slash stunt performers, and when that punch hits, the camera sometimes like it's got to know, you know, it's like it's going with it. And all that training that you did on your shorts kind of led up to the project that you ultimately did with your feature film. So I guess I'd say like, what's next? Two questions. Like, what's next? Like, what's the next project, and also what's next with the channel?
Next project, I don't know if I can talk about.
Okay.
NDA.
It's an anime IP that we're buying the rights to. So our plan, my producing partner and I's plan did work out. We did meet a lot of anime companies. They did come to set. They liked what they saw. We were able to buy a couple IPs, and now we are developing those IPs. So hopefully my next project is an anime live action movie. I cannot say the name of it, but yeah.
Is it? I know. Is it something that we've heard of though?
You've definitely heard of it, yeah. But yeah, I can't say it.
All right. Well, what's next for the channel? Like, people are dying to see more content on your channel, at least.
I'm dying to see more content on my channel. I'm definitely going to be, next year is probably going to be the year. Right now we're doing a podcast, and we're just trying to drum up some revenue from shorts and like other content, and then like feed that into the main videos. But Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, all the new hype animes is, you know, what we're going to do
Solo
next.
leveling.
Solo leveling's not on the list right now. I know. I love solo leveling, but not on the list. But Dragon Ball Z would be. It's not new, but I want to. I haven't done one, so
you gotta do Dragon Ball.
I want to do Broly. I want to do Broly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball Z are probably the next 3 that we're gonna do.
So I remember probably like maybe a year or 2 ago, you actually were talking about a little bit about burnout, you know, with the channel. Like you kind of like. Just laying in the sand, you know, just like.
No, literally, I burned out really hard, and I went to Hawaii for 6 weeks. I laid in the sand,
Yeah.
and I didn't even bring my computer. I completely was like, I'm doing nothing for 6 weeks, and it continued after that. But I was very burnt out at one point.
Yeah, I remember that at one point this guy would always be like, "Oh yeah, let's shoot the next video. You know, we got to do another One Punch Man thing, or whatever." And then suddenly he just went dark. He was like, "I'm like, is there any movement on the channel?" He's just no response. So with these talks of, you know, maybe Jujutsu Kaisen, like et cetera, are you back? Like, is that energy kind of renewed, or, you know, how did you?
Oh yeah,
the
energy's renewed for sure.
How did the burnout, like, how did you overcome it, or how did you, address this burnout?
Well, I guess let's talk about why the burnout happened first.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
Like I said, I was always breaking even on my films. I was always reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting. And then when that happened with, you know, meeting with Netflix and Paramount and Legendary, and they were like, go make a movie, you didn't do enough yet. I think it just hit a wall where I was like, oh, I just, like, the amount of sacrifice to get to this point, and just like hours of, you know, you've been on the sets with us, like crews working for free or like very little, and, you know, it's stressful, and I'm asking for favors all the time, and I just felt so bad for everybody. And then I was like finally having meetings at Netflix and Legendary, and like finally get to like pay everyone back, and then it was like a huge letdown for me. And then I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like I think I justified having all the people work for free or for cheap by like, hey, I know we're going to get to Netflix and they're going to love this, my channel, and, you know, we're going to take you all with us. And then when that didn't happen, I was just like, I can't ask another person to do something for cheap, because like I know the answer. The answer is they don't care until I make a movie. And I think that just like really hit me, and I got into like a deep depression, and I was like, I am going to Hawaii. And I just
Run away from my problems.
Well, I was working nonstop. I was always like Alfred said, it was like, I'm shooting something, I have 3 more things in the works. Like I'm constantly on to the next project. And I was like, which is a great thing, but then I think when I realized it meant, at the time, I felt like it meant nothing. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? What's wrong? Like, why did I do all this for 5 years? And so I just went to Hawaii to find myself again. And I did. Luckily, in that trip, I did, and I came back, and then I was like, okay, it's like time to go for the movie. So yeah, that was the burnout. And then the movie took a long time to raise money for, about a year, and then finally got off the ground, shot it, and now we're about to finish it. So, yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
All that to say he's back. No, but I mean, and I'm sure like a lot of the, like I know some people came out specifically because they had recently discovered your channel and are fans of the Reanime page. And so I'm very certain that a lot of people do want to see, more content out there. And I mean, it's great that you're doing feature film projects, but it's also great to be able to directly distribute and have full control over your projects, and to give the most true, genuine, like anime live action or anime, recreation possible, right? So I think there's still a great benefit to having both, like social media and also to be doing like these bigger projects, right?
100%. I think in the future, I think YouTube's going to be the last one standing. If anything, if they all go away, the streamers of this or that, I think YouTube's going to be the king. So I definitely want to still be on YouTube. I think it's really important to, like you said, have a direct connection to people and not have like a middleman that, I need to sell it to this distribution company who now is telling me my intro of my movie needs to be X, right? So I think that's really important to, keep that direct connection to people and keep that like auteur sense of filmmaking where you're just like, hey, I'm gonna do it my way, and like this is the way I see it, and there's no hands in the pot. Yeah, I think that's really important. So I'm definitely focused on the YouTube channel. I just need to make sure that this movie does what it needs to do, and then the next one does, and I can start pouring some money into the YouTube channel again. So that's the plan.
All right, so as far as social media, YouTube goes, like, your one piece of advice for people out there, like in terms of doing their own channel, like what's this one takeaway or one piece of advice you'd give people?
Are you asking like in terms of like getting views or how to start a channel or like?
I think like, I don't know, I was kind of leaving it open-ended for you there. But yeah, I mean, okay, everyone has access to uploading and putting something on YouTube, right? So just out of everything that you've learned, yeah, maybe in terms of what type of content or how to get the most views or whatever, but basically what would be your one piece of advice for someone who wants to get into or have a successful YouTube channel?
It's so generic and cheesy, but it is so true. Whatever your passion is, whatever you're passionate about, go make that into your art, right? Because if you're not passionate about it, when the hard times come, and they will come, there's going to be nothing that's going to push you through those hard times if you're not passionate about what you're doing. So whatever, if it's a film, if it's a cooking channel, if it's ASMR, whatever your channel is that you want to, whatever you want to put out there, you need to be extremely passionate about it because it is not easy. It's a very hard process, especially in the beginning. And the only way to get through it is like, I just woke up and I was like, I need to do this. Like, I have no other choice. So find that thing that is your no other choice and go do it.
Okay, and I think I said I was going to touch on it earlier, so I did jump around a little bit, but could you also give like filmmakers out there who want to make their own, feature film? Like I feel like that's just such, you see it as this big mountain to tackle, like we all have this dream, like I want to make a feature length film that's kind of feels like the top of the mountain, because you got YouTube, social media and stuff, and then you have this theatrical release film, right? So what kind of experience or advice would you give on finding funding and actually getting that film made? Same
thing I said from the beginning, manifest. But the biggest thing for me is pitch deck.
Okay.
Like any idea I have, I make it into a very nice pitch deck. I mean, my presentations look really good. I pay someone a lot of money because I really believe like when an investor sees like really well put together presentation, like they're way more interested. And I've seen some big movies with big actors like asking for 10 million, and you would not believe how ugly the presentation is. Like it's on a PowerPoint, it looks like, and they get the money, and I'm like, because they have the actors, but I'm just shocked that the presentation looks like that. So a lot of investors, like when they open my pitch decks up, they're like, oh my God, like this looks so professional, like off the bat, like just, because the most important thing is, especially if you're not friends with that investor, if you're just like pitching someone who's like a film producer or executive, they're going to do the look test and they're going to open it. And if it looks like not great, they're going to close it. Right. So I just make sure the pitch deck's super polished. I go out to film events. I meet people all the time. I'm connecting with people on LinkedIn that, like I'm not joking. LinkedIn is amazing. And then and the key is when you connect on LinkedIn, don't say, hey, I have a project I want to pitch you. Like, can I send you something? Say, hey, I would love to like pick your brain on the business. Like everyone loves talking about themselves. Can I get coffee with you for 15 minutes? I'll, or take you out to lunch or something, or even just like a quick phone call. I've met some pretty high up executives that way. And then after you get to know them and they like your personality, you can be like, here's the thing I want you to look at. So LinkedIn's been important for me. I think also, like you said, I grew up in LA, so I just grew up around rich people. So I have a lot of rich friends that know a lot of other rich people, and I've been very fortunate that, they're sharing my stuff that, around. But like I said, the train's moving. Act like the train's moving. Don't act like you need their money. Like they are lucky to invest into this project. So have that mentality, have a great pitch deck that looks really good, and meet as many people as you can. Go to film events, use LinkedIn, even DM people. I've DM'd people on Instagram and just been like, hey, I would love to take you to coffee. Michael Goy, who directed Avatar live action, not the movie, the show. I DM'd him and we got coffee. So, stuff like that. Yeah.
What would you say? Is there a certain moment or a page because you talk about the importance of the pitch deck, like, is there something that's like a certain page that's super important for you, or just the overall presentation of it?
No, I think it's the overall present. There's not like one, obviously, like for investors, how much money, what are they, the page that's like the financial planning of everything, but there's not one page that's like super important. It just needs to like flow really well and like look really nice, and obviously have the right information there. But it has to pass a look test. Or I've received pitch decks and I'm like, I open it and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to look at it because it's like not put together well. Then I'm like, you didn't take the time to make this like look nice. So yeah, I can't do it because I'm not a graphic designer. Some guys on Fiverr that are pretty good that I've used, but my friend Kyle is amazing, and I just pay him quite a lot of money, and it's worth it every time. He's gotten me a lot of money from his pitch decks. So
yeah, I think in this next question you already touched upon. I was going to ask you how you had, even like prior to you getting this feature film, you had all these meetings with like Netflix and et cetera, et cetera. I think you touched upon it by reaching out LinkedIn and a few of these other avenues, but any specific examples of like, because either way, like those are still some pretty good meetings to get. Like, some people probably can't even get their foot in the door to get those meetings. So like, can you go a little bit more in depth on how you got all those meetings? Because that alone is kind of a big, win.
I had a cheat code actually. Scott, Alfred's old manager.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, our old manager connected me to Buckwald, which is an agency. And Buckwald got me a lot of those meetings. So I just went around town. I learned a lot in those meetings. Do not go in being like, hey, I'm going to direct this thing, because they're like, who are you, right? Like, you're just going to walk in here and say you're a director? No. You have to walk in and just be like, hey, I have this idea and I want to like help you guys develop this, whatever that looks like. Like, unless if you come in and you already have like 3 movies under your belt and but I was coming in with nothing except a YouTube channel. So they looked at me like, wait, we're gonna have this guy direct our $100 million live action? Like, what? Hold up. So it took me like 3 meetings to realize like that's not the way to go about it. Just being like, hey, like I obviously know anime. Here's my resume. Here's my like, work, and whatever I can do to help you guys, and how I can make you more money, but while making this like anime as true to the source material as possible. Let's collaborate on that. Versus like I walked in like, hey, like I can direct, like Legendary. I was like, I can direct My Hero Academia live action, and they're like, who are you? So that's one thing I learned like walking to those meetings. Like, don't ask for the world. Yeah.
Okay, wait. So also, all right. Do you have any like funny or like crazy stories when you were filming in Japan? Like outside of like all this like serious film stuff, but like, I don't know, did you go eat some amazing food, or did you just have some like a good time with like the cast and crew? Any like good stories out there?
So I have so many. Let's see. I have some funny like wild cultural difference stories from set.
I want to hear something.
My wardrobe department. This is just a cultural difference. I guess I felt really bad after, but we didn't have budget for this like dress I wanted for the actress, and we already in Japan. You can't. There's no like buying or returning something. Like you can't just like here we could just go buy something and be like, oh, it didn't fit the actress, go return it. Japan, you can't do that. So they bought all the clothes that I asked for, and then I realized one of the dresses didn't look good on her. I wanted a new dress. I was like, oh, just return that. They said we can't do that, and there's no more budget for another dress. And so I was like, oh, okay, like, no problem. I went out of my pocket. I bought the dress, came back. I was like, hey, I bought the dress. Like, here you go. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's all good. And they were furious. I mean, they were like, you think I can't do my job? Oh, are you, like, it was like a whole thing. And there's a lot of different departments. I realized very quickly to not insert myself like that. And like my gaffer got mad at me because I was like, can I see the equipment list? And he was like, you don't. Oh, wow. I was like, I just need to know what lighting we're working with. So like, can I get this shot or not? And he like, that was not okay. There's a lot of like things like that. So like the first week was really funny of shooting because I was like cinematographers aren't used to directors like creating a shot list. Like they don't really the director doesn't do that. The director only works with the actors. In Japan, and I was there holding the camera, and like I'm shooting this movie, and he was like, "What is going on?" So for the first week, like we were like everyone was like, "Is this director crazy? Like, what is wrong with this guy? He is just grabbing the camera, telling us what to do, buying the clothes, like doing everyone's job." And I was like, "Oh God, I maybe I should take a step back." But
I think this is just like a YouTube show or something.
Yeah, literally. So there was a lot of like moments like that. The first day of shooting, my cinematographer like fully yelled at me, like, and I was like, I've never been yelled at on set. I guess that's normal in Japan. I asked everyone, I was like, what was that about? And then they're like, oh no, director and cinematographer, they always scream at each other. I was like, oh, I don't do that. And so I told him, I was like, hey man, I'm never gonna yell at you. Like, let's just talk. But it was in front of the whole crew, and I was just like, oh, this is day one. Like, this is not gonna go well. But by week 2, it was actually we all like understood each other and understood our cultural differences, and it was like the best. It was the best crew I've honestly ever worked with, and like so much fun by week 2. And then week 3, I was like, we were flowing so well, and then the movie ended, and I was like, I feel like we just started, guys. Yeah. We just were about to be best friends, and then now the movie's over. But yeah, I also. I don't know why I'm sharing this one, but when our lead actor or co-star wrapped, it was the first actress that like we finished shooting, and she was leaving, and she's going off to another production in Kyoto. And when the final shot on her, we like wrapped and everyone like clapped for her. Everyone looked at me, and I was bawling my eyes out because I was like, oh my God, the movie's ending. Like we have 3 more days of shooting, and that was like the first realization that this like movie was ending. And I don't think people there are used to like someone being so emotional, and so no one knew what to do, and I was just sitting there like sobbing. So that was interesting. But yeah, and then when we wrapped the whole shoot, everyone looked at me and was like, "Is he gonna cry again?" And I actually wanted to, but I was like, "Don't cry, don't cry." It's like, "Don't cry. Everyone's gonna laugh at you again." But yeah, no, it was a great time. And when we wrapped the shoot, like the whole crew, I guess they do this to the director. The whole crew picks you up and throws you in the air. And like I've only seen that in anime.
I was like, so yeah, I've seen that in anime. You're like the
And I was like,
teacher.
oh my God.
They're like throwing you in the air.
Yeah, I felt like I was in an anime for a second. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds so like so many emotions, like cathartic that you got your first one done, and also that it was wrapping, like that bittersweetness, and so that's amazing. It was so good to hear of like kind of the intricacies of how you've like navigated, you know, Hollywood or the film industry, because I think there's an element of having mastery or skill in your craft, whether that's directing, cinematography, you know, whatnot, but also that other element of like the interpersonal, like the relationships element, working with and you know, having your projects be pushed forward by producers, investors, et cetera. So like, I think that's like a tricky thing, like, because sometimes we have to juggle like the creative aspect and kind of the business aspect, you know. So I really feel like Nik, through like sharpening his, you know, blade, has kind of honed those elements, and I think we learned, or at least I gained a lot from hearing and just seeing his growth throughout this. Not sure how much time we have, but let's open the floor to like if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, we're just gonna like keep just like talking shit up here, you know. Just but no,
We'll be here all night.
yeah, let's see if there's any questions, and we got a mic flying in right here.
Hello. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, thanks for coming. I guess I was curious what your experiences were working with the Japanese licensors and how that kind of meeting went. I guess to preface, like I work in Japanese anime licensing, so I kind of understand what those meetings could be like from a business perspective, but I'm kind of curious what it was like from a creative perspective working with them or having those meetings with them.
I actually felt like it was pretty seamless and like smooth, which is like unheard of, and that's because of my producing partner, and he has he's been in the business 20 years, so he has like amazing connections. Usually like if I didn't have him and I was going in just by myself, it would not be that way. It would be very, very difficult working with them. I've heard horror stories and like how things take like 8 months, 12 months. I think the biggest, I guess, issue for me is just like, you know, in America, we just walk in, we're like, cool, let's get the meeting done. Like we have these bullet points and we have this much money, let's sign the deal right here. And in Japan, it's like, no, let's talk for like a month and get to know each other, and like, you know, we can talk about the project a little bit, but like, who are you? And you know, things move at a much slower pace, I feel like. So that's like been the issue for me. I'm like, I want to go now. And it just moves slower. But in terms of the creative, you know, I had to pitch a couple of, you know, the creators of the manga, and again, pitch deck. I had a great pitch deck. It looked phenomenal. It like I obviously know the shows inside and out, and so you know, in pitching them, they understood that I think my YouTube channel really helps, like being able to show them that I love anime and that like this is my life. Like whether they say yes or no, I will continue to do live action anime because I love their stories and what they're doing. I think it showed a lot of respect, and then that they trusted that respect that I have for their stories, and it's been a pretty like honestly like seamless, like smooth process working with the licensors. Yeah, for me.
Any other?
One company did. I can't say who, but one company did not like what I was doing. Actually, Alfred, you know about this story. One company did not like our One Punch Man.
Or maybe they liked it too much. So,
yeah.
I mean,
it was blowing up
reasons.
too much, and they were like, "Whoa, they're making all this money. We gotta shut this down." And that was the only time. But like in terms of they like what I'm doing. Like every time I talk to them, they're like, "Oh, this is great. Like we love what you're doing, and if anything, they look at it like promotion for their own animes and getting the name out there. And yeah, but sometimes when a film gets too big and it's like spread into like now they're seeing it online, you know, their app in Japan, that they're like, wait, hold on, like what is going on? Are they making a bunch of money? But
Dude, I had like a Japanese TV show reach out to me to appear just like they were doing like a lookalikes for anime, and they actually wanted like to use my whatever something for it. Like, I didn't know what it was at first, but that's how much it was like spreading out there.
First, so I understand, is the trailer we saw is that the feature you're talking about that you shot in Japan?
Oh no, the trailer you saw was like an old Naruto film I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then my real question is, do you already have distribution set up for this feature? Or and if not, when does that happen, or when did it happen?
We have our sales agent, and we're currently pitching the movie to be sold. We have someone in China right now. Hopefully we're selling to them soon. And we've gotten a few offers in Tokyo that we're debating right now, or not Tokyo, in Japan, that we're debating taking right now. And then for America, we're holding off to see what the numbers are overseas, and then we can come back and be like, hey, we sold over here for this much, and are you interested? But yeah, we have a pretty big sales agent over here that will get distributed and probably limited a release in theaters, and then hopefully like a streamer picks it up. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
Are those Deku shoes?
Are they what?
Deku? Midoriya?
No, they're
No,
not.
they look like it.
Oh, that's cool. They're just Nike, red Nikes. Yeah. Deku shoes. I didn't even think about that.
Hi, Nick. Congratulations on the feature film.
Thank you.
One question I have is not just limited to anime, but are there any other IPs that you haven't worked with that you would like to make like that live action of?
Are you saying not the ones I just bought, like just in general? If I could pick
ones
any
that you haven't done, or like not even including the ones that you bought. Like,
I mean, my like ideal one would be Naruto. Like hands down, I would probably. I don't know what I wouldn't do to do a Naruto live action like TV series. I don't think it should be a movie. But yeah, Naruto, Berserk would be like my. Oh my God, Berserk and Naruto and Attack on Titan and Death Note would be my
but
top.
would you recreate it, or would you like have your own storyline, or kind of expand on it?
I'd recreate it.
Okay.
I mean, those are all perfect stories. Why do I need to change anything? I mean, you need to adapt some stuff, but like maybe I could do like a Minato, like his dad's like spin-off, or like a Itachi story or something. But
yeah, Itachi story, side story.
Yeah, I mean that's my tattoo. Itachi's my favorite character. I also like the fist bump.
Fist bump. No, but I like the Uchiha stories there.
Oh yeah. A random one that's not like one of the mains that I would want to do would be Tanya, Saga of the Evil Tanya. If you haven't seen it, Tanya Senki is a Japanese name, but that one would be like up there for me. I love that. I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. It's like World War I, like with mages. So that's like the very broad point of the show, but it's political warfare with a battalion of mages, and it's amazing. Well, yeah, it's a tiny 9-year-old girl who's like leading this battalion, like, and just murdering people. But and she's evil. That's why it's Saga of the Evil Tanya. But it's phenomenal.
All right, anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you guys so much for coming. I think that wraps up our interview with Nick. Thank you so much for coming. And